the fact is, I've been there, guys. Okay? I've been there, and there are times where it really feels like if someone's out to get us, right? Whether it's, like is Satan trying to steal all my funds, right? Is God trying to keep relationships from me because he just wants me to be abstinent my whole life and just become Amish, right? I mean, have you guys ever felt that way? I know that it can be dreadful going through what you're going through, whether it's financially, relationship-wise, but the thing is, you aren't going to accomplish anything if you just keep reminding yourself of what is, but not do anything about it. Now, here's the thing. Most of us, when we think about, okay, how can I fix my situation? We think of, okay, well, maybe I just got to go back to school. Maybe I just have to go back out there in the world and expose myself in social situations, and not that way. Jeez Louise, calm down. But we need to understand that it's not so much about doing what society demands of us. Because if you ask any therapist, they're going to tell you, well, you just got to, go out there and have a drink and have fun and, work on your hobbies. And, that would be $2,000 and I can't wait for our next session. That's a bunch of bullshit, okay? Yes, there comes a time where, going out with a friend to a party will be a good idea. Going back to school, getting a degree would be fine. But, if it's something that just doesn't feel right for you, there's a reason why it doesn't feel right for you. If everybody else wants to have fun and party and you would rather just be crumbled up under your pillow, there's a reason why. It's not because you're a loser. It's because you are just built different, and that's okay. You see, there is actually another way for you to get the goals of your dreams, to get the desires of your dreams, the relationships, the money, whatever it is, without having to do it the way that society demands us, okay? And I'm going to explain why doing it like society's way demands us is actually wrong, because everything in life is spiritual, okay? Now, but before you're like, oh shit, I'm not going to tell you that if you don't, follow the 10 Commandments, you're going to go to hell. That's not what this is all about, okay? When I say it's spiritual, I mean that it's not just what science says. It's not just what theorists say in regards to, the behavioral analysts and psychologists. A lot of this is psychology, but a lot of this, people don't realize that psychology is less about the brain and it's more about your true identity. And your true identity is the one who observes your whole entire life. Okay? But I'll get a little bit more on that later. But you see, when you do stuff, when you join in with a group of friends in order to be more liked, and when you try to do a business that you actually really hate just to make more money and just to become financially free, you're only doing yourself a disservice. Because you see, the way that it works is it takes energy, it takes a little bit of a fire in your belly to really push yourself to the next level. Because you can start a business that you don't want to do, right? But there's going to come a day where you really you're going to be put to the test, and the world is going to say, okay, can you really fucking handle this? Are you really ready for this? And the only thing that's going to actually allow you to go through that is, if you fucking die of exhaustion, of just battering your body and forcing yourself through the mud, or it's going to actually take the legitimate desire and authentic passion to endure everything. right? So if you don't have that, you're going to be doing yourself a disservice, and when you fail, you're only going to hate yourself more because you wasted all that time. Okay? So that's the reason why doing things that don't feel right are going against you. Okay? And let's say it's also like with an SP, like a specific person that you have a crush on, right? And everybody's saying, hey, you shouldn't text her because it's wrong. You were chasing her, right? But let's say you really feel the need, like, you know what, I just want to tell them how I feel, and it's not coming out of a clingy part of me. I genuinely feel like I got to do this. You see, it's never the double texting that turns the person off. It's the identity, the mental mindset that you have going into that situation in the first place. Because I've double texted plenty of times before, and it's actually went very well. And it's almost to the point where like the girl was like, wow, I thought you didn't even want me anymore. I'm like, bitch, I was waiting on you, right? But here's the thing, guys. When you understand that your consciousness, or what many people refer to as your mindset, when you understand that your internal reality is what has been causing this the whole time, that is when you really start seeing big change, huge change. So if you've noticed that you haven't had the success in your social life, if you've noticed that you haven't had the success in your finances that you would want, you keep getting shitty jobs, you keep running out of money. I mean, it's embarrassing, like when you go out and they have to pay for you all the time, right? If you're noticing that, whether it was from a limited belief, whether it was from childhood trauma, whether it was from something that happened and it just became a pattern, you allowed something to enter into your consciousness, and you took it internally as, this is my comfort zone, this is what is, right? You see, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but just because you see something happen in your life does not mean you have to accept it as truth. You could get evicted, and you could have had a childhood where you couldn't even afford cable TV. But that doesn't mean that you have to accept and tell yourself that I grew up poor. I know you're like, whoa, why? What? But just stay with me. You could have been cheated on, ladies, by every single guy that you've ever been with. But it doesn't mean that you have to tell yourself that you've been cheated on. Because you see, you got to understand one thing. This is why a lot of people say, forget about the past, it does not matter. It's not because it does not matter in the sense that, like, when consequences need to be given, that, you know, we should just let everybody off the hook. Not necessarily. But if you are still living and breathing and you still have an opportunity for success, then what is the point of you replaying your failures if they are already in the past? Like, even before I made this video, the first 9 minutes, I will never experience them again. Even if I rewatch the video, they're gone. The actual experience of me where I was driving as I was saying these words, it's gone. And yeah, it's in a video, but me actually doing it, it's never going to happen. I could go down that exact same route, but it will never be exactly the same. And that's the same thing, whether it's good or bad, you can never repeat the past, right? But here's the interesting thing. You are an eternal being living in a human experience. And I know you're like, whoa. Let me click off right now. What is this going? All that basically means is that you are not the mind or the body. You are just awareness. You are just what is experiencing the mind or the body, right? Now, I don't want to go into it so deep, but if you want to know more about this, just look up non-duality, okay? But Basically what that is that you are awareness. And what that means is whatever you focus on, you will get more of in your life. And that is what will consume your identity in the physical avatar of your life, right? So when you're focusing on the past and when you're focusing on how many times you got cheated on, you're going to bring more of that energy in your life, right? When you focus on how you couldn't afford cable TV as a child, you are going to get more of that in your life. You might now be able to afford cable TV and Netflix, but you are still reminding yourself of that lack, and therefore it shows up in other ways. You know, shitty jobs. It shows up in, you know, you having bad spending behaviors, spending tendencies, right? So when you recognize that reality is your internal reality is the true reality, whatever you're doing. And by the way, this is not just checking the past. It's a lot of other things. But when you understand this, this is perfect. You can now move forward. Okay? So what are some practical ways to actually start taking charge of your life? Well, again, sit down with yourself and know you don't need to just say, well, do I have to get a whole vacation just to sit down with myself? Do I have to make sure that I have candles lit and, you know, fucking, you know, Michael Bublé playing in the background? No, okay? Doesn't have, I mean, you could be on your way to work and just every now and then notice where your mind goes. And when I say take notes, no, that does not mean you actually have to get a fucking college ruled notebook paper. Jesus Christ. Okay? I mean, just the same way you were taking note of all the times that those guys cheat on you, you can take note of this shit, okay? So take note of where your mind goes, and you will see why it is that you are in the financial and romantic situation that you are in, right? With your relationships and your finances, right? And some of you guys are just trying to manifest a fucking Bugatti. Well, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, maybe for more specific things, I'll make a separate video, right? Because we're planning on making like 50 more million of these. But take a note. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start telling yourself a new story. You see, remember what I said, you don't have to accept that you grew up poor just because you can afford cable TV. You don't have to accept and tell yourself that you were cheated on, even though you actually were cheated on in every single relationship. Again, what is the fucking point? I actually want you to tell yourself that relationships have been perfect since the beginning. I actually want to tell yourself, regardless of how you are with money, that money fucking flows to you like water, right? In other words, lie. Because it's not a lie if the internal is the true reality. Because out here you see they all cheated on me. But up here you say, nope, it was all perfect. And just like the way I showed you that your internal reality projects out here, and that's the reason why your finances and your relationships are like this, it's the same way that you can switch it and flip it in your favor. Okay, now if you want to go more in depth, links are in the description. I would love to work with you. And also join the channel membership. If you notice that on the Stan Store, the prices are not to your liking, you actually get really good fucking discounts when you join the membership. And there's gems all over the membership there as well. Okay? I love you guys.